Okay, so one thing was for sure was that I was not the brightest kid growing up. Now, I say that because I'm not gonna lie, there's some things I've done in my past that I'm not proud of, but also on top of that, there's just a lot of things that I haven't explained or experienced until, well, this channel is all about my experiences, so it kind of makes sense where I'm getting at here. But honestly, just this story was really bizarre, and it made me realize what it really meant to be bricked up. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy but also super embarrassing story that I hope none of you guys do. Like, a lot of the things I say on this channel, no one should be doing, okay? Like, no one should be doing, you know, the devil's tango with their babysitter. No one should be doing the devil's tango on a plane. No one should be doing anything of sorts. This channel is purely to tell you my experience of why it's an ultimate failure. But going on, this story all starts off back when I was in grade 6. Yeah, it was my grade 6 year of middle school. And I'm not gonna lie, in middle school, I wasn't the brightest, okay? I was a very normal kid to the point where, I'm not gonna lie, the only thing I relied on in life was video games. Video games was like my scapegoat for anything. When I was upset, play video games. If a girl broke my heart, play video games. If the girl still breaks my heart, play more video games. Like, it was the resolution to everything that I wanted to do in life. And even still to this day, it's still playing video games. Anyways, I remember one day, it was early in the morning and I just woke up. I was getting ready for school, but one thing I noticed was that I had no clean laundry. Like, for some reason, my mom didn't take out my laundry that day, which I'm not blaming my mom, but at the same time, like, I was in grade 6. My mom does everything for me still at this time. So I'm like really confused, and I'm like looking through my drawers and everything for a pair of underwear. I literally did not have many clothes to go through. So I remember I ended up going to my closet and I managed to pull out a hoodie. I ended up wearing sweatpants. And when it came to socks, I ended up finding 2 different pairs of socks. So that usually worked. And last but not least, my underwear. I did not have any still. I was really upset, and it got to the point where I ended up yelling at my mom saying, Mom, do you know where my underwear is? Baba, you don't have any. You didn't give me your laundry. What do you mean give me my laundry? It's in the same part of my room, like, ever since I was born. This was a true statement, by the way. I'm not capping about that. It was in the same place. I don't know why she didn't take it. Anyways, from there, my mom ends up saying just like, you know, just use a different pair, or just use the pair that you had last night on. But that's disgusting. I don't believe in using the same underwear after you take a shower. I just refuse to believe it. So I remember I ended up basically just not putting on underwear. I decided to go commando this day, which wasn't the smartest thing ever. But at the same time, I thought there would be no worry and no one's gonna know anyway, because I'm not gonna lie, I pulled this stunt before. Was it a good idea? No. Did I think it was gonna work? Yes. But this is where everything kind of just falls flat, because I remember my mom ends up driving me to school, and when I get to school, I remember with my backpack, I start heading over to my locker. When I get to my locker, I ended up seeing my crush also walking towards her locker, which was a good thing because her locker was right beside mine. And yes, I did make sure to do this because, like, you know, I had a massive crush on her. But aside from that, I remember I was like kind of like in panic mode, because I'm like, okay, say hi to her, but in a cool way, but don't make it awkward. I remember I like basically like, you know, open my locker, you know, throw my bag in there as if like I'm the cool kid. And then that's when this girl looks at me as she's opening up her locker and says, "Oh, hey, Bubba." Hey, what's good? I end up closing my locker shut so she can see my full-on failure of an outfit, I guess. And she looks down and she looks at me, and I'm like staring like right into her eyes, just totally like amazed by her aura and bliss and just everything that, you know, she exists for, which I thought was for me at the time, but she exists for apparently another dude, which still sucks to this day. But, you know, not the point. Anyways, I remember she like stares at me, and then she ends up looking down, and I thought she was just looking at my silly outfit. And that's when I say, "Oh yeah, don't mind the fit." I couldn't get anything good on. Bubba, what's in your pocket? What do you mean what's in my pocket? I mean, like, what's in your pocket? Like, that's huge. I end up looking down and I'm like, my pocket? And that's when I realized the thing she was looking at was not in my pocket. It was literally my eggplant. So at this moment, I'm like, oh, it's nothing. And I turn around as quickly as I could. She ends up looking at me and she's like, "Bubba, is everything all right?" Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm just swelling up a little bit." "You're swelling? Oh my goodness, this is not good." "What do you mean it's not good?" "Here, follow me." So me being totally bricked up, I remember this girl ends up grabbing my elbow, and she starts dragging me down to the nurse's office. Now, if you guys don't know, in our middle school, we had a 24-hour nurse. She was there all times, like when we needed her throughout the school day. Even though it's not 24 hours, I don't know why we called her the 24-hour nurse, but still, she was there all throughout the day. And I remember this girl, that was my crush, ends up dragging me down all the way to her office and sits me down and says, "Bubba's swelling in his pants." At this moment, the school nurse looks over and she's like, "Oh, Bubba, are you okay? Is everything all right?" Yeah, no, I just, you know, I think I might have like an infection or something. Trying to play a along with what this girl was saying because like I did not want her to know that I got bricked up because of her, you know, like I don't know, it's just super awkward. So this girl, she ends up like basically saying like, oh, like can you help him, like he's not doing well. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. Can you please leave the room so I can talk to Bubba? Yeah, okay. My crush ends up leaving the office and my nurse ends up closing the door shut, and she looks at me and she's like, okay, stand up, Bubba. I end up standing up thinking that she knew what was the problem. You know what I mean? Like I thought she just automatically knew like, oh, this kid's bricked up. It's awkward for him. So he's making up a lie about, you know, swelling happening down there. Yeah, no, that was not the case at all. Because the next thing she said right after was, all right, Bubba, take off your pants. What? You heard me. Take off your pants. At that moment, I'm like, all right. Cool, I guess. So I take off my pants, and that's when this nurse ends up like, I guess, inspecting my eggplant, making sure everything was all right, to the point where I'm not gonna lie, we basically did the devil's tango. I'm not gonna get into detail because obviously I'm not here to tell you the birds and the bees. If anything, I'm just gonna say devil's tango, and you guys can imagine the rest with your gross, crazy imaginations. But yeah, no, that's basically what happened afterwards. And one thing led to another. I remember like I was just like really confused because after I finish, I look at her and I'm like, was this supposed to happen? Bubba, just don't tell anyone what happened here today. And if this ever happens again, you're always free to come to my office. At this moment, my mind was like, I guess blown was the best word for it. Cause like, I just did the devil's tango with my school nurse. Like, what am I supposed to do there? Anyways, yeah. So things get really awkward between me and her. And I end up just leaving the office. And when I go back up to like, you know, my classroom, I wasn't bricked anymore. I was like totally like, you know, just like, I guess turned off by everything that was going on. And when I walk inside my classroom, I end up sitting down for my next class because I was in the nurse's office for an entire class that I skipped out on. And when I go back in there, automatically all the guys in my class just start looking at me as if I was like some sort of weirdo. And I'm like looking around, and then when I sit down at my desk, my buddy that sat beside me looks over and says, yo, Bubba, is it true you were bricked with her? What do you mean I was bricked? Bubba, your crush literally went around the school saying that you were bricked, bro. Wait, what? Really? She said I was bricked? Well, no, she didn't say bricked. She said that you had swelling in your pants. At this moment, I remember slapping my forehead and just putting my head down on my desk in awkwardness, just not wanting to live another day. Because, like, who goes around saying that? Like, if someone's swelling in their pants, even if it's just getting bricked, you don't mention it to other people, especially if it's me. Oh, no, it was really traumatizing. And I remember throughout the, like, entire school day, everyone kept making fun of my brickedness. And since I was wearing sweatpants and going commando, it was more obvious to see my eggplant print, like, just hanging out. And, like, you know, in middle school, there's a bunch of jokes that got made. And, like, I don't know. Overall, it was just really sucky and just really traumatizing. And I think that's where I'm going to end it off here. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys press that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.